Thursday, May 9th, and welcome to the Damon Bruce Show, brought to you by Ike Sandwiches. It is awesome to have you back here once again. Thanks so much for stopping on by. Gorgeous day here in the Bay Area, so let's get this taken care of and then send you on your way so you have a beautiful day today. I really hope you do have one of those. But we got to start by talking about what is an NBA MVP anyway? What is it? I mean, we could do months of shows and not all agree upon the true definition of value. Most valuable player. The word value has always created some murkiness as to what is the most important thing here. You can prove it statistically, but it's also a feeling. It's also like a job well done. You've officially earned this status, sort of marker of prestige that the NBA hands out. And I just think it's time to maybe rethink the whole thing. And by the way, I got to get this out right from the get-go. I love Jokic. This is not about him. This is not about him. I do not think he is an unworthy MVP. I do not think that he is someone who should have been overlooked here or is getting too much attention. Not at all. Like, Jokic is a wonderful NBA MVP. I got no problem with that. But my question is, and I'll just use him as an example, is in all the years that Jokic has won his now 3 MVPs, they're all around the year that he actually won the NBA title. So what does it really even mean to him, right? The most valuable Jokic has ever proven himself to be in this league is the year that he stamped a championship for the Denver Nuggets. You can't get more valuable than that. But he has been awarded MVP in 3 different seasons in which, because I don't think the Nuggets are going to get out of this series with the Timberwolves right now, likely his 3 MVP seasons have come around the one year they actually won the whole thing. So what are we talking about? We're also talking about a league that is proving to us in real time how little the regular season actually matters. So to have the MVP only determined by regular season statistics and success doesn't even seem to measure what is most important in this league anymore. Again, this is stuff that not a lot of people worry about, but I stay up at night thinking about these things. I love basketball. I love MVP debates. I love the NBA. And the NBA, probably more than any sport in my lifetime, although baseball is absolutely running this race too, has changed. I'm telling you, this is going to sound like a pipe dream. This is going to sound like I'm making something up, but it's true. It's actually true. The NBA used to be contested by grown men who wanted to play every game on the schedule as hard as they could while they were out there all the time. Sounds nuts, doesn't it? But it's the truth. And so you can take MVPs of the past and say, all right, there's something here. You know, you battled through a regular season, and whether your team went on to win a championship or not, the style of basketball that is played in the playoffs is not so far removed from the style of basketball that's played in the regular season that it's basically now 2 different things. 2 totally different things. I'm not saying any team through choice or effort alone can come out and play defense like the Minnesota Timberwolves have the first 2 games against the Denver Nuggets. But imagine if that's what Jokic was running into every night he played. Would he still be doing this? I'm not saying that he has unearned stats or anything like that, but the NBA has so devalued its own regular season that coming up with the league's MVP only considering regular season performance, to me, is now no longer the correct way to do this. Now, you might say, well, wait a minute, Damon. What if the MVP would be on a team that isn't in the playoffs? How could you then further evaluate what their campaign would look like against the rest of the field if the rest of the field were in the playoffs and now that matters? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, here's how basketball works. And I'm not telling you this. This is what the league has told me. Without playoff success, you ain't an MVP. Period. Like, this is why I got trouble with, I think, Embiid winning it, right? Like, yeah, incredible stats, but the guy gets way too much of that stat accomplished from the free throw line. And when it comes time to whip it out and go win in the playoffs, he's nowhere to be found. Nowhere. That's why James Harden, always a tough guy to evaluate. What MVP consideration should he get? We all see this exemplary scorer, but he was such an absent defender throughout so much of his career. You know, however many points he scored, he gave up almost all of that going the other way too. So where is again, we're back to the word value. What is that? Where is it? And this is why I think the NBA needs to consider doing something differently. Sports are changing. Sports are evolving. The NBA is pretty much responsible for its own change and own evolution with the way that players just treat regular season, with the way that they're allowed to treat regular seasons. And now this isn't one of those. Okay, so the thing about hockey was hockey would play its dick off during the regular season, and then you'd get to the postseason and it would be even more intensity. The NBA, it's not the same. It's not like wait until playoff hockey. No, the NBA is basically saying we ain't even going to try to play hard until the playoffs start. Look at the games that we've watched just in the last 2 weeks and look at all the regular season bullshit that we've sat through. It's two different sports. It's two different sports. If you're telling me that the NBA needs to be tied directly to the regular season, your number one excuse is probably going to be, well, tradition. Well, tradition is never the right reason to keep an idea that no longer really fits around. Look at college football. Look at the NCAA. Tradition meant everything until, absolutely means nothing. Never mind, we'll pay kids and the Pac-12 doesn't exist anymore. Tradition that. You know what I mean? So we are watching sports change and evolve and this many games are happening in football. No, it's not. Now it's 17. Now it's going to be 18. I'm sure it'll be 20 by the time my children are adults. You know what I mean? So tradition has always been brushed away in the name of progress and profit and redefining things better. And why wouldn't the NBA do that now too? The fact that the NBA votes on its MVP before the playoffs are over, I will argue, is ridiculous. It was probably ridiculous to do it in the first place, but I understand why it happened. I don't understand why it's still happening, especially with the league letting us know in full Technicolor HD brilliance that what happens in the regular season isn't even really the NBA. It's an 82-game warm-up for the 16-game season that awaits postseason teams. So what are we talking about? You know, Nikola Jokic was MVP in a year the Nuggets didn't win it. Then was given MVP again in a year the Nuggets didn't win it. And why didn't they win it? Well, it might have been Jamal Murray's injuries or whatever. Just it didn't happen. The year he wasn't given the MVP, they won it all. And then this year, where they're probably about to be bounced, if not swept by this Minnesota team, you're telling me he's MVP again? I feel like you got it all wrong. The one time he was definitely the most valuable player is the year where the Nuggets actually won it all. And that's the 1 year of the last 4 he wasn't named MVP. How am I supposed to explain that to my children? How am I supposed to explain that? It doesn't really make much sense, does it? Cheers. By the way, I made the coffee a little late today. We are not at sip of the day. That was a little too hot. I just kind of burnt my tongue a little bit. I was more optimistic than I should have been. We'll return. Look, this isn't a let's measure Steph Curry against Nikola Jokic segment. I'm not trying to do that segment. But when it comes down to who in their lives changed the sport more, Michael Jordan can't even look Steph Curry in the eye, much less Nikola Jokic. And Nikola Jokic is now going to have more MVPs than Steph Curry, and that's fine. You know, I don't care. I'm not here for that argument. I'm really not. He is an incredibly elite company now. I mean, Jokic goes from one of the greatest of our time to one of the greatest of all time in this third MVP award. And again, I don't have a problem that he won it at all. I don't. I do think Luka, I do think Jalen Brunson, I do think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander mean just as much to their teams, though, as this guy means to his, if not more. And the conversation's already been had. It's over. We can't submit any further evidence about what's happening. And that doesn't make any sense considering we've all agreed that what's happening now is really all that matters. That's what we agreed on. It's what the NBA agreed on. But Jokic is now the 9th player to win 3 or more MVPs in the NBA. He's the newest member of the Three-Timers Club. That's Larry, Magic, and Moses. Wilt and LeBron each have 4 MVPs. Jordan and Bill Russell each have 5. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has 6. So, you know, are you telling me that if Jokic, how about this? Let's do this as a little thought experiment going forward. Let's just say for a second, Jokic has an MVP level season again next year. Are you now going to put him in that 4-timer club, or will the voters have decided, well, then it's now time to look elsewhere? You know, we can't give Jokic a 4th MVP before we give 1 to Luka or 1 to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or 1 to Trace Jackson-Davis, who, you know, just throwing that out there. If you speak it, it might happen. But, I mean, seriously, all things seriously, I think the NBA needs to sit down and think about this award because it's not applying modern thought to this award anymore at all. There is no sport where ring culture has so affected the conversation, and I'm not even here to tell you whether that's good or bad. It's bad. But if that's the way the NBA is, let your MVP reflect that. And that's what kept me up at night. That's what I think of when I lay my head down at night. I also think of delicious sandwiches. And if you're thinking of a delicious sandwich, boy, do I have one for you. It is at Ike's. I want you to go get a delicious sandwich today. How come this? There he is. There he popped up. Ike's sandwiches are fantastic. It's a gorgeous day outside. It's the perfect day to have Ike's, pop into an Ike's, have Ike's delivered to you, and go outside, sit on a bench, and eat a sandwich in the glorious California sunshine, if that's where you are lucky enough to be. But wherever Ike's is, and these are all the sunshine states as it ever expands eastward from its West Coast beginnings, get yourself an Ike's sandwich. Do it on the Ike's Reward app. Start earning your way to a free sandwich in the future. And as I tell you, if you're in charge of ordering lunch for whatever office you work in, check out Ike's Catering. Have those sandwiches delivered by the boxes to your place of work, and you will be a hero. Let me also tell you about where heroes gather to tell their war stories. Our friends at the Dubliner and West Portal are just running one of the great bars in San Francisco. And if you haven't been, I'm telling you, you can spend, if you're a sports fan, half a day in there just looking at all the cool shit they got on their walls. If you are not a sports fan, that's cool because it's not a thumping you over the head sports bar either. It is a great spot to pull up and have a Guinness. It's an Irish bar. It's a neighborhood bar. It's a sports bar. It's our bar. Love me the Dubliner and West Portal, and you will too. Go in there, tell Kenny that Damon sent you when you walk on in. Free ice in your drink if you tell them Damon sent you. So thanks to Ikes, thanks to Dubliner, thanks for Nikola Jokic for giving us a little something to talk about on what is otherwise a slow news time. By the way, if you want proof that it's a slow period of news, this is when you get all your lazy. Is Brock Purdy as good as we think he is? I saw CBS Sports come out with they put Brock Purdy second in the latest quarterback power rankings. Now, I'm going to tell you, I cover Brock Purdy. I will defend Brock Purdy, and I probably said more nice things about Brock Purdy into a microphone than most human beings on the planet ever will. I'm here to tell you right now, Brock Purdy's a lot of things. The second best quarterback in the NFL, nothing else to talk about, probably is not one of them. I mean, he's inching his way into that conversation, but I don't know if he is there yet. CBS, because they want you to click, they want you to argue, they want you to comment, subscribe, and all those things. CBS has Mahomes, Purdy, Allen, Burrow, Stroud. Again, CJ Stroud had a great year. You're telling me he's the fifth best quarterback in the NFL right now? Come on. Lamar Hunt, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Herbert, and Jordan Love are the top 10. This is proof that this is a slow time for sports in the American sporting calendar. Like right there. We're really doing that? Come on. There's got to be something else going on, right? How about Red Jet? Just dropping the like and subscribe. To the tribe, like and subscribe. We are ready for more premium basketball. How about those Knicks? Dude, whoever Miyagi'd Jalen Brunson back into that game during halftime did a hell of a job for the New York Knicks. Madison Square Garden was head over heels when they saw him come out for the second half after sustaining a foot injury there that basically caused him to miss the entire second quarter. To say that the Pacers are in a little spot of trouble going back to Indianapolis down 0-2 is not something that I'm suggesting. They're suggesting it. Did you see this story? Did you see this, that the Pacers are so unhappy with NBA officiating that ESPN's reporting that they sent 78 instances of missed, incorrect, or non-calls over their first two games against the Knicks at Madison Square Garden? Okay. So we know the following to be true. Number one, the NBA would much rather see the New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals than the Indiana Pacers. Number two, NBA officiating is so poor that you could probably walk away from any two-game stretch, any two teams playing at any two games, and come away with about 80 instances of the referees got that wrong, missed that call, blew that call, didn't get that moment right. It happens all the time. Now, when you add the two together, it's easy to walk away with saying, well, the NBA is trying to rig, trying to fix, trying to make sure it's the Knicks going through and not the Pacers because of ratings, because of New York and market size and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I'm telling you right now, I don't think they're smart enough to do that. I don't think that is happening. And when a coach, a team gets pissed off like and Rick Carlisle, look, he is rubbed off the wrong way. And I understand some of those calls have been bad and definitely gone against him. And he got himself ejected from game 2 of the series. But the reason why you can't do this, right? The reason why you can't do this is because it just invites the, well, okay, so all that's happening, but what did you do in the game? What'd you do, Indiana Pacers? Well, I'm going to tell you, in game 1, Tyrese Halliburton had 6 points, while the Knicks shot 65% in the second half. I mean, is that officiating? Is that bad officiating? Or is that Halliburton not playing well and the Knicks heating up in the second half? The Knicks shot 65% in the second half of game 1. Again, Halliburton was awful in game 1. Rick Carlisle has all sorts of rotation questions by giving TJ McConnell, who's actually doing better defending Brunson than than the other guy. But McConnell has got a quick hook, and he's McConnell's not been out there. I don't know who O'Connell is, but McConnell, TJ McConnell, is a guy that probably should be getting more playing time. There's the only one pushing him off the court, Rick, is you and your lineup choices. There's also the Pacers. They lose game 1 by 4 points, and that's the same amount of free throws that they missed in game 1. Pacers lose game 2 by 9 points, and guess what? They had 9 turnovers and missed 7 free throws in that game while getting out rebounded by 10. So you know what, Rick Carlisle, I don't begrudge you being pissed off and feeling like the NBA is working against you at Madison Square Garden for the Knicks on behalf of the Knicks, who would draw the bigger audience and more attention and everything that comes with it. I get it, but you can't. You just can't be we're filing an official complaint with the league office about all these missed calls. We don't like them. Maybe get some home cooking back in your gym. That's the best you're going to get. I mean, is there any team in the NBA that should put together a montage of missed calls more than the Warriors on just Steph Curry alone? How many clips do you think we've got of that to fire at the league office if we actually put one together? Steph getting Wahoo McDaniel body chopped on the way to a layup, no call. All the time. So that would be enough to imagine if the Warriors pulled that. Oh my God. Like Nick Wright would have to be hosed down right on the set of First Things First. You would have all of the critics coming out with just butcher knives for the Warriors if they ever were like, yeah, the Warriors sent all these videos to the league office on all these missed calls on Steph. Meanwhile, the defense sucks and they are not hitting their free throws like they used to, but never mind. Like, it just doesn't look good. By the way, we got 2 NBA playoff games tonight. When the sun sets, there will be a reason to go inside and flip your TV on. Cavs got blown out of Boston in game 1. Tip-off of game 2 is 4 from the parquet floor. Mavericks and Thunder tonight. Look, Luka looked really gassed in game 1. If he's going to get the Mavericks back into this series, he probably shouldn't wait to Dallas to do that. But the Oklahoma City Thunder are just sending that message that we repeated quite a bit yesterday, that youth is being served. All over the league. Youth is being served, and right now Kansas City's played 5 games this postseason and is yet to give up 100 points in any of them. So they're playing unbelievable D, as are the Minnesota Timberwolves. Wolves and Nuggets back on the court Friday night. So that is the entire Nuggets season in one game. You win it, you can climb back into this series. You lose it, tick-tock. It's only a matter of time. We know how it ends. Let's go back here and see how we're doing. Sip of the day. There it is. Needed about another 8 minutes. Come down to temp just a little bit. 8 minutes. Okay. What else have we got for you here today? I told you that it was a cheap shot. That everyone is now, there's really nothing to talk about. It's kind of a slow news time. So what are we going to do? We'll do something about football. Yeah, football. Football always works. Everyone likes football. Okay, well, what are we going to talk about football now? We're really going to talk about the draft is over as teams are building themselves out. No one wants to hear about any guards or anything like that. Guards don't move the needle. What do we do? Go with quarterbacks. Yeah, go with the quarterbacks. Well, what about quarterbacks? Something about quarterbacks. Doesn't matter. Just something about quarterbacks that'll work. And that's how we get the Brock Purdy is the second best quarterback in the NFL power ranking from CBS. Again, love the enthusiasm. Calm down just a little there, CBS. Great young player, really good situation. Second best quarterback in the NFL. Maybe he could get there. I'll tell you what would absolutely put him there, right? Let's say Brock Purdy won the MVP this year and the Super Bowl. Okay, now you know what? He is the guy right behind Mahomes. There you go. But he hasn't done that yet. So I think it's a little premature. Tim Kawakami had a mailbag question come to him. And the question was basically like, what if Brock went full on evil Brock and demanded as much money as humanly possible and just said, I'm here for all of it. No hometown discount, no nothing. I've already given it the shop. I am evil Brock Purdy negotiates his next contract. What would that look like? I saw David Bonilla of 49er Web Zone pick this story up, and he quoted Tim's response to that question in Kawakami's mailbag, saying that unless Purdy is the unanimous NFL MVP and wins the Super Bowl in February, I think he's more likely to follow the path of another young, well-grounded quarterback who wasn't drafted in the first round but experienced enormous success early on. And then got a new deal that pays a huge amount of money but also fits within the construct of the team's long-term play role plans. And the player, the other quarterback, who he used as the here's your model for Brock's contract, is the contract given to Philadelphia's Jalen Hurts. Now, these are very different quarterbacks, but Jalen Hurts means just as much to the Eagles as Brock Purdy has meant to the 49ers. Like, with these guys as your starting quarterback, I can't help but notice you're winning like 70, 80% of the games you're playing. You know, it's ridiculous how much success you're having with these guys under center. Hurts has a 5-year, $255 million extension that he agreed to in 2023. It averages $51 million annually, and Kawakami points out that that number represents potential money, so it's a little bit misleading because there's all kinds of outs. And again, the only number that matters in an NFL contract is the guaranteed dollar amount. Everything else is still maybe, except for that guaranteed dollar. In real terms, writes Tim, Hurts got $179.3 million guaranteed over 4 years for an average of 44.8. And that is the number that I would circle for Purdy and the 49ers when the negotiations start next year. And look, I think that that's pretty fair. I think that that's reasonable. And I'm just telling you that anyone who isn't on that like Gardner Minshew, we're still trying to fit, are you a starter? Are you a backup? Who are you really in this league? Those quarterbacks don't have this number applying to them. But any quarterback right now in the NFL, the minute they're out of their rookie deal, who is an entrenched, established, the only thing that's going to get me yanked out of my next start is going to be an injury. Like, I'm not getting benched. I could have 3 bad games in a row. I'm not getting benched. I'm the guy. You're making $50 million a year. That's just going right to poker. It's, you know, it's like Major League Baseball. You know, Larry and I talk an awful lot about that Jung-Hoo Lee contract. Why is he making all that money? He hasn't proven anything yet. Hey, 2-3 years down the road from now, any single starter at any single major league position is going to be making $20 million. It's just the way it goes. Again, the price on all this only goes in one direction, up. We had our a little article, or I don't know if it was an article, it was a tweet. I don't know where I saw it, but what was it? Austin Reeves, who basically said, hey, you know, there are 30 guys in the NBA who could go play in the NFL, but there aren't 30 NFL players who could come and play in the NBA. Now, I would agree with that. The NBA has a level of skill set that just, you know, tenacious competitor, dogged physical specimen, you know, will allow that player to have more success in such a physical league like the NFL than the NBA will allow, which is an incredibly skilled game. And, you know, from a roster construction standpoint alone, it is clearly harder to make an NBA team than it is an NFL team. Not that that is an easy thing to do by any stretch of the imagination, but one is harder just based on the numbers game. You know, 60-ish dudes over here, 15-ish dudes over here. It's a lot easier to crack a table that's got 60 seats around it than it is 15. So Like, I'm not here to argue with that. I did see, though, was it Chris Long basically said, dude, you NBA players are so babied, like you wouldn't even be able to check into a hotel room with an NFL team. Like, imagine being a 325-pound dude sitting in a queen bed with a roommate. Like, you wouldn't even know what to do, NBA players, if that happened to you. You wouldn't even know what to do. You know, sore than you've ever been after a practice where a coach literally yelled at you for 4 hours straight. Like, the minute you get yelled at for 4 hours straight in the NBA, you take a week off. You know, you talk about your feelings getting hurt. You do a blog post about your mistreatment, and Team Pussy will come to rescue you. That doesn't apply to the NFL. Like, you get yelled at. Yeah, you got guys in the NBA who literally haven't been yelled at in their careers. That happens before 10 a.m. in every NFL building to superstars. So, you know, could you survive the nastiness, the actual rough coaching? Is what Chris Long put up there and said not one of you would last longer than 3 days. And he might be right about that. But he also conceded, like, a guy like Anthony Davis could probably translate to linebacker faster than, you know, a guy like Kevin Durant could become a wide receiver, just because he's, you know, a compact, stout, you know, 6'4", rocked up athlete. It's not about just height and size, but if you had the speed and the wheels, yeah, maybe you could be out there. Maybe you could be out there. But cracking that NBA team, that's a really hard thing to do. You better be a real elite athlete to do that. You know, kind of like a 4-time lacrosse All-American. How about this for a little bit of a story? You probably watched the entire Warriors season go by and not even notice Pat Spencer. I think he checked into 6 games. I doubt he played more than, 5 minutes in any one of the 6 games that he checked into. He was a Warriors two-way player. His story, though, is really something else. This kid won the college lacrosse equivalent of the Heisman Trophy, was a 4-time lacrosse All-American. He left the game as lacrosse's all-time NCAA assists leader. He was picked number 1 in the Premier Lacrosse League draft, but he wanted to go play basketball. So he transfers to Northwestern, or he enrolls at Northwestern, plays a year at Northwestern, goes over to Germany to play pro for a year, and then comes back to the United States and hooks up in the G League with the Warriors. Again, he's a two-way player who might have been the single greatest lacrosse player of all time if he continued that path, but it was like he knew that that's not even worth the license plate frame that might get printed on the greatest lacrosse player ever. Oh, super. So what do you make, like $41,000 a year? What do you get paid to do that? You know, like in the NBA, there's a real career there for you if you're lucky enough to even be considered, and a seriously life-altering paycheck if you're lucky enough to get one of those. So there you go. So I don't know about how many NFL players can make it, but one really good lacrosse player has, sort of. I just love that story. I got another little story for you here. All right. I haven't gotten to this one. Because for 2 days in a row now, we got hockey news. 2 days in a row on the show, we actually got hockey news. It's incredible. Wednesday, we saw that the Sharks got the number 1 draft pick, who they will assuredly almost use on the Golden State Warriors head athletic trainer's son. Incredible. Celebrini on the back of a Sharks jersey could happen. So that was yesterday's great story with all sorts of local ties around it. Today, we get the story that Utah, which poached the Coyotes from Phoenix, sent out the fans 20 names. The fans will be picking the name of the Utah hockey franchise, which owner Ryan Smith says will be operating under the name Utah. They're not going to be the Salt Lake City whatevers. They're going to be the Utah whatevers, and they're going to let fans decide what the whatever is And there's no rush because Utah will skate its first season in Utah under the name Utah Hockey Club. Like, they're not going with anything but what? The agreed upon team colors at that point, but there will be no mascot announced in year one. Owner Ryan Smith said that the team will have the name starting with Utah. The inaugural season will feature jerseys with the name of the state on them, with the name, logo, and colors to debut the following. Oh, so we won't even have agreed upon team colors for their first season in Utah. So what are they just going to go like black on white and then all white for roads or what? I mean, what are they, you got to have some sort of team color, right? Guess not. How about that, right? First season in a brand new market, and you won't even announce the team's name or colors because that's still to be determined. And it's going to be determined from a mascot standpoint by the fans. Like, that's cool, right? That's cool. I'm cool with that. So they were sent out 20 choices, which is at least 10 too many. Probably should reduce it from that. But here you go. Your 20 choices in no particular order. Hockey Club, which is, I guess, what they're going with. Utah HC. Hockey Club, is that how they'll referred in year one? Maybe that sticks around. Again, Washington football team was painfully generic and is a million times better than Commanders all at the same time. They should have just stuck with Washington football team. Anyway, here are your choices. Good citizens of Utah. Frost, Ice, Powder, Mountaineers, Freeze, Mammoth, Black Diamonds, Blast, Caribou, Blizzard, Swarm, Hive, Outlaw, Yeti, Squall, Fury, Glaciers, Canyons, Venom, and HC, which stands for Hockey Club. I've already got the name right there. The name is in there. Did you catch it? They got to go Utah Yetis. They got to go Yetis. The second one, I might go Caribou. Caribou is a good name too. No one else is rocking Caribou, but I don't like Freeze. I don't like Mammoth. You sound too plodding and lethargic. Black Diamonds, again, it's Utah. You can't use the word black in Utah. There's nothing black about that state except the Jazz. Can't go Ice. Can't go Frost. Utah Frost, no. Powder, no. Fury, no. Glaciers, too slow. Canyons, no. Venom, comic book corny. Hive, they do like bees, but again, it's Hive, the Utah Hive. You're going to go to the Hive game tonight? No. Yetis. You going to go see the Yetis tonight? Going to the Yetis game? I would go Utah Yeti, even though it's not both Y's. It's a U and a Y. It's got that. It sounds the same. Utah Yeti. I'm going Yeti. If it's up to me, if I'm voting on this, I'm voting Yeti. I'm voting Yeti early. I'm voting Yeti often. And that's the way I'd do it. That's officially the way I would do it. Sorry, Phoenix. By the way, Coyotes was never very good. And neither was the support for hockey in the desert. Okay, what else we got here today? A couple of things to announce. A couple of notes for you before we hop into Club Plus today. Let me. Okay. Let me let you know about Plus Mania 4, which is officially now going to be called Plus Mania 4 Damon's a Poppin'. We have a date. We have a location. And we will have a meet and greet in front of a show that is hosted by yours truly. And the reason why we're going with Damon's a Poppin' is because you're going to get double Damon. Damon Amandalora, who is a sportscaster, who has come on with me, who has really taken up the cause of Oakland A's fans, wants to come to a game at the Coliseum this summer. He reached out to me months ago. He reached out to the Last Dive Bar guys weeks ago after they sent him a whole bunch of cool swag and stuff like that. And thanks to the work of Brian at the Last Dive Bar, what we're going to do is we're going to play hooky. Now, I know that Plus Mania has been Damon, that doesn't fit into my schedule, and I can't make it this day. This is going to be tough for some of you to get to, hopefully easier for others. But we're doing it on this day for a reason and at this time for a reason. Plus Mania 4, Damon's a Poppin', is going to happen at Line 51 Brewing Company in Oakland on 303 Castro Street. So we're going to go out and fill up the brewery at lunchtime. Line 51 Brewing Company at 303 Castro Street in Oakland. We're going to get together with doors opening at like noon, 12:30, and we're going to get our lunchtime show up and on the air on Friday, June 7th. Why Friday, June 7th, and why so early in the afternoon? Because you will be following a hippie, hopefully, to a second location. We're starting at Line 51 Brewing Company on Friday, June 7th at 12:30 to about 3:30 is when Damon and I are going to be hosting a show, a podcast, whatever we're doing over there, and then meeting, greeting, talking, consorting, having a good time with everyone who was nice enough to come out and see us. Then we are going to go to Bart, and we are going to the Coliseum because that is the next reverse boycott game. So we're going to go to the A's game that night too. We're going to be a part of that reverse boycott. So that's the plan for Plus Mania 4. Damon's a Poppin', Last Dive Bar guys all involved in this, and they tremendous help putting this together. Line 51 Brewing Company. Line 51 Brewing Company, Friday, June 7th, doors at 12:30. We're going to do a meet and greet before we host a show live from the venue. Then we're going over to the Coliseum. That parking lot opens up at 4:30. We're going to take over the parking lot. Then we're going to take over the Coliseum. And it probably won't mean a thing, but it'll make us feel good. And I'm all about feeling good. So we're going to go do that. And I hope you plan on coming out for it. I hope that fits your schedule. And if not, Plus Manias will continue to be popping up. And we're finally doing one on a Friday. We've either done ones on Saturdays or Sundays. We're doing one on a Friday. We're doing our first ever in the East Bay. So Plus Mania, again, Joji, if you put it together, we'll do a Plus Mania in Japan eventually. We'll have Smiley Dan charter a plane. We'll all come out to Japan, and we'll just kick it. Maybe that'll be Plus Mania 5. Maybe that'll be Plus Mania 500. We're going to have to build up to that a little bit more. But there you go. The reverse boycott game on Friday, June 7th. Start your afternoon at Line 51 Brewing Company with Damon Bruce and Damon Amandalora. We're going to have a really good time all day, all afternoon, into the night. It's going to be a really, really good time. The other thing that I wanted to tell you about before we slip into Club Plus, and this might be a little less informative for those just listening on the podcast today because I got a little graphic to put up, and I would like to invite all of you out to the Presidio Half Marathon hosted by the Guardsmen. I'm still a senior Guardsman, and this is a great chance for you to come on out, get a little exercise, enjoy what is the most beautiful outdoor official road race, in America? Go straight over the Golden Gate Bridge and back again. There is a half marathon, there's a 10K, there's a 5K. It's all done in an incredibly family-friendly way. And at the end of it, a huge pancake breakfast with bloodies and beers being poured, not porn. And then we're going to have live music, and I'm going to be out there on the official race starter. I have been for years. So you've asked me in the past, Damon, how do I get involved with the Guardsmen? Even if I don't come, I'd like to make a donation. Well, there's a QR code right there on the screen that you can use to sign up. You can go to guardsman.org to make a donation. And I'm telling you, if you really are interested in signing up for the Presidio Half Marathon, the 5K, the 10K, or the Half Marathon, by the way, the half marathon starts at 8 a.m. The 10K will go off at 8:30, and the 5K will go off at 9 a.m. But if you use promo code Damon, you'll get 25% off your registration fee. So there you go. 25% off the registration fee to enter if this is kind of what you're into. And believe me, if you're into this sort of thing, you're going to really be into this. This is a great race. This is a great day. If the weather's fantastic, that day's undefeated right there. So, Plus Mania announced. Guardsman Presidio Half Marathon, the official promotion has begun. We're going to turn that into a wonderful, wonderful day and do an awful lot of good with the money that we raise for Bay Area at-risk youth. I am so proud to be involved with the Guardsmen. It is one of the reasons why I live and love San Francisco. And I'm here to tell you that the whole woe is me, death spiral, feeling sorry, letting other people control the narrative of San Francisco, that shit's over. It's time to take this city back, and we're doing it. So thank you so much for watching today. Thank you for listening on the podcast. We will hop into Club Plus, see what's going on in the chat. I really haven't popped in the chat really at all today, so we're going to do that. And there it is. There's your show on a glorious Thursday afternoon here in the Bay Area. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast, if that's how you consume the show today. And please do remember that sports don't build character, they reveal it. And like that, he's gone. Where's the damn plug? There it is. There it is. Are you ready for the squeakiest disco ball on any dance floor in the world? There we go. Uh-oh, why did I freeze? Am I frozen? Oh, no, I'm going to scroll all the way down. I'm frozen. Can you hear me? My screen froze, but can you still hear me? Somebody tell me if you can still hear me, and we will do Club Plus. Uh-oh. Damon, red light. Can anyone want to tell me? Can you hear me? Michelle Haberman saying, yes, we can still hear you, but it's frozen? Well, at least it froze on sort of a decent-looking picture of me. There's not too much fatty neck waddle in that picture, so I feel good about it. I'll have you stare at that one for a little while. I'm glad you can still hear me. Actually, the truth is, I'm not frozen. I've been working on a ventriloquist act because I got to keep this family afloat somehow. So this is me freezing, and look at that ventriloquism. Like, you can't see my lips move at all. Like, that's incredible, isn't it? All right, let's see what we got here. This won't. Kaiser and Der Gilroy. Der Kaiser says, Damon, indoor lacrosse, it's better. Okay, I appreciate that. Sporticus, he has the best lacrosse over in the history of basketball. Oh my God, Sporticus. Like, how do I not think of that myself? The lacrosse over, Sporticus, you're a freaking genius. You really are. Let's see. Damon, what about Utah Soakers? Not available. I'm telling you, Yetis. It's got to be Utah Yetis, right? Again, Sporticus, just on fire. He's going with Point Break. Not Breaking Point, Point Break. Oh, but no, he's saying a Breaking Point. I vote for the Utah Johnnies. Johnny Utah. Otis says, I don't see why they can't keep the Coyotes name. I'm sure that they could. They just don't want to. And I wouldn't recommend it because that franchise was a massive loser. I mean, there's just no. Smiley Dan suggests that they consider Pucky McPuckface. This is why Smiley Dan's chartering the plane to go see Joji in Japan one day. He's going to have that for us the entire time. Chef A says, Damon, the reason why they cannot call it the Washington football team is just look at the acronym. WTF. Yeah, well, it's WFT, right? I mean, it's close. It's adjacent. But I like that too. Damon, what about the Utah 5.0 alcohol by volumes? Scott Burns, that's accurate, I guess. They could go with the Utah Garments, but they're not. The Utah Mormons, not going to do it. Utah Salts, Utah Flats, Irwin. Again, Flats isn't going to get anybody excited. Salts isn't going to get anybody excited. The Swarm for the Beehive State, yeah, that could have happened. But I'm going Yeti. I like the Yeti. Red Jet. Meet and greet? Yeah, we'll do a meet and greet. I'll be signing flat objects only. Unless it's breasts, I will work around the curvature of a breast with a signature. So, flat objects and titties. That's what we're signing for the meet and greet. Red Jet. Oh, do we have a date? No. I'm telling you, I'm going to make sure Jillian takes a day off work. She's going to come play hooky with us. Southpaw knows what's up. Damon, line 51. Great beer selection. There is a massive real AC transit bus inside of there. I'm excited. So there we're going to do it. We're going to make it happen. I hope an awful lot of you can play hooky that Friday and come make it happen with us. Again, we're going to have an out-of-towner in town, Damon Amandalora. I don't know if he's ever been to Oakland. I don't know if he's ever been to the Bay Area. But we're going to greet him. We're going to treat him like a king. We're going to show him a great time and show him what some real Oaktown biz is all about. I know, beer porn. I knew it. Rob C. Again. Damon, you had me at porn. Thank you, Rob. Didn't mean, it's a slip of the tongue. There you go. And now we've reached the portion of the chat where I froze. I have no idea how I froze. Was it because I put my thumb up? I don't know what happened, but that's it. Thanks for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed this masterful ventriloquism performance of the last 10 minutes or so. And I do. I hope to see you at Plus Mania 4. Damon's a poppin'. We will continue to be giving you dates and times and locations for all the things that we're promoting as we move along and get closer. But thank you so much. Again, thank you very, very much for being here today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around here in the deep freeze. And what can I tell you? Absolutely love you, which is why it breaks my heart to tell you that you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here to watch this frozen douchebag just prattle on into a microphone. You gotta go entertain yourselves now. And on this glorious day, I bet you will. Hashtag SDC, everybody. We got sun, dress, conditions.